Picture most social gatherings in Australia. What are people drinking? If it's like many across the country, alcohol is likely involved. Despite strict health guidelines globally and the World Health Organization's claim that no alcohol level is safe, alcohol is often synonymous with social gatherings. But what impact is alcohol having on our quality of life? Recently, researchers had a growing emphasis on health-related quality of life, recognizing its holistic benefits beyond just focusing on physical health. The World Health Organization defines quality of life across four domains of physical, psychological, social, and environmental as an individual's perception of their life in relation to their culture, values, concerns, and goals. As a leading cause of mortality and a significant global health burden, cardiovascular disease plays a key role in people's quality of life. Dutt et al. Found that quality of life is reduced in people who are at risk of cardiovascular disease, and that controlling modifiable risk factors such as alcohol consumption has the potential to reduce morbidity and mortality, potentially improving quality of life. Similarly, Floresco et al. Found that individuals with cardiovascular risk factors, including high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, and tobacco use, had lower quality of life, with significant reductions in the social and psychological domains. They also found that lower quality of life is linked to poor treatment adherence and an increased likelihood of engaging in unhealthy behaviours, especially among those with chronic conditions like cardiovascular disease. I found it interesting that despite alcohol being considered a modifiable risk factor for cardiovascular disease, it is not considered a conventional risk factor, and due to this, is often excluded from in-depth research on cardiovascular disease and quality of life. Alcohol's relationship with both cardiovascular health and quality of life is complex. Redwood et al. Found that moderate alcohol consumption among the general Australian public was associated with better quality of life compared with low or non-drinkers and excessive drinkers. Similarly, Matheson et al. Found a J-shaped trends between psychological distress and alcohol consumption, and an inverted U-shape between quality of life and alcohol consumption. Interestingly, alcohol consumption follows a biphasic J-shaped pattern with cardiovascular risks, being protective at low and moderate amounts and detrimental at high intakes. The gap in this interconnected relationship has formed the basis of my research topic, and I'll explore the research question of how do cardiovascular risk factors and alcohol consumptions interact to influence physical and psychological health-related quality of life in Australian adults. I'll have multiple hypotheses, but in the interest of time, I'll highlight two of these key to my research. One, there will be a significant interaction between cardiovascular risk factors and alcohol consumption, where participants with moderate alcohol consumption and no or few cardiovascular risk factors will have the highest physical and psychological quality of life, and those with high alcohol consumption and more cardiovascular risk factors will have the lowest physical and psychological quality of life. And two, the interaction effect between cardiovascular risk factors and alcohol consumption will be greater for psychological quality of life than physical quality of life. To address this question, two two-way ANCOVAs will be used to test the dependent variables of mental and physical quality of life scores and the relationship between two independent variables, which the number of cardiovascular risks a person has, being in categories of none, one, or more than one, and alcohol consumption of low, moderate, and excessive. Covariates of age, gender, and physical activity will be controlled for these influence of dependent and independent variables. Measures used will be the SF12 health survey for quality of life, an additional question on whether people have cardiovascular risk factors, the audit C for alcohol use, the International Physical Activity Questionnaire for physical activity, and demographic questions for age and gender. These are all common measures and have appropriate reliability and validity. Recruitment will be complete using either Sonar systems or social media accounts. Some perceived challenges include getting enough participants per group and people underreporting their alcohol consumption, which is a common challenge with self-reporting of alcohol. Offering prizes for completion of the survey and making the surveys anonymous may help this. In terms of ethics, this research is considered low risk as the only possibility of a risk is discomfort to the participants. Consent, withdrawal rights, possible risk, confidentiality, and storage information will be covered in the explanatory statement. The timeline for each step can be seen on screen. This thesis is significant in its contribution to the body of research on cardiovascular health and quality of life, and aims to raise awareness among the Australian public about the combined risk of alcohol consumption and cardiovascular risks. By targeting individuals with cardiovascular risks, this research could inform interventions focused on harm reduction rather than full alcohol abstinence. Also, if psychological quality of life is going to be more affected than physical, earlier preventative messaging could encourage lifestyle adjustments before serious health issues develop, supporting both cardiovascular and mental health. This study could contribute to more nuanced public health policies, focusing on those more vulnerable to the combined effect of poor cardiovascular health and alcohol consumption. By following these recommendations, behaviour changes could lead to improved quality of life and reduce risk of cardiovascular disease within Australia. Thank you. And here are my references.